Good afternoon. Before we begin the program, we just want to go over some housekeeping guidelines for today's Google Meet. Please keep your phones muted. If you have a question, please type your question using the chat feature. This program will be recorded and posted on our website, hunterdonhealthcare.org, and also our social media pages. Like us on Facebook, Hunterdon Healthcare, and follow us on Twitter, Hunterdon Health. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gavin, President and CEO of Hunterdon Healthcare, and I will be your moderator for today's program. Thank you for joining us for our new Medical Monday series. This is the first program in our series that will be held every other Monday from noon to 12:45 p.m. As of now, these programs will focus on COVID-19. However, our plan for the future is to present many different wellness topics throughout the year. Today's topic is the COVID-19 vaccine. What do patients need to know? And now I would like to introduce today's guest. I am joined today by two of our Hunterdon Healthcare experts, Dr. Geralyn Prosswimmer, Chief Medical Officer of Hunterdon Healthcare Partners. Dr. Prosswimmer is a graduate of Rutgers School of Medicine and did her residency at Thomas Jefferson University, where she was the Chief Residency Officer. Dr. Prosswimmer has served as the principal investigator for several other vaccine studies, giving her a deep understanding of vaccine science. I am also joined today by Lisa Rasimowicz, our Director of Infection Prevention and also our Patient Safety Officer. Lisa has a master's degree in nursing and is board certified in infection prevention and control. I would like to thank you all for submitting your excellent questions in advance. Let me describe the format for today's program. I will be asking questions that were previously submitted by the community in response to our request. I will choose one of our experts to respond to each question. As a reminder, please keep your phones on mute. You may submit questions during the program using the chat feature on Google Meet, and we will address as many of these questions as time allows. So let's get started. Our first question is, can you describe the difference between the Pfizer and the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine? And I'm going to ask Dr. Prosswimmer to answer that for us.
Absolutely. So both the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines are messenger RNA vaccines. They're very similar to one another. They have similar efficacy, 94 to 95% effective in preventing COVID disease. And this is an extraordinary level of protection that will help us bring this pandemic to an end. The storage and handling for the vaccines is different. Pfizer is stored at lower temperatures. Also, the time between the doses are different. So for Pfizer, the time between dose 1 and dose 2 is 21 days. For Moderna, the time between dose 1 and dose 2 is 28 days. You'll notice too that the Pfizer vaccine was studied down to age 16, whereas the Moderna vaccine was studied down to age 18. And I'll make a quick comment. The microgram doses, as you see on this slide, cannot be compared. It doesn't mean that one is stronger than the other. And those are the key differences, Patrick.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Prosswimmer. The next question that we received is, why should I get the vaccine and is it safe? And I'll ask Lisa to respond to that for us.
Thank you. So I want you to imagine the day when you can stop wearing a mask or when we can gather with our friends and family. That day's coming, but only if we do what needs to be done today. You should absolutely get the vaccine as soon as you are eligible. The COVID vaccine is very safe and highly effective. By getting vaccinated, you protect yourself, your family, and your community. Both vaccines are extremely safe and have essentially the same side effects. Most side effects are not serious, and they do go away in just a few days. There's a possibility that either COVID vaccine can very rarely cause a serious allergic reaction called anaphylaxis. Again, this is very rare, and we know this based not only on the studies, but based on the millions of doses that have already been given in the United States. The likelihood of a serious side effect is less than 0.5%. If you've ever had anaphylaxis to any ingredient in the vaccine, you should not get it. But if you've had anaphylaxis to another injection, you can still get the COVID vaccine, but just you need to be observed for 30 minutes afterwards.
Okay, and Lisa, I'm going to stay with you for the next question submitted by our community, and that is, will I get COVID-19 from the vaccine?
No, you will not get COVID-19 from the vaccine. There is nothing live in the vaccine, which makes it so that you cannot get COVID from the vaccine.
Thank you. And Dr. Prosswimmer, I'm going to ask you the next question based on your background. This writer writes, I heard these vaccines are mRNA vaccines. Can you explain what that means?
Sure. A tiny piece of code from the virus is encased in a lipid or fat particle so that it can enter the cell. Once in the cell, it activates the production of the spike protein. The viral code is quickly degraded and eliminated. It does not enter the nucleus of the cell or interact with your DNA in any way. Your body then produces the spike protein. This is the part of the virus that lets it attach to you. The spike protein can't make you sick or infect you. Your immune system recognizes the spike protein and makes antibodies against it. So when you encounter the virus in the future, your immune system recognizes the spike protein and neutralizes it.
Thank you. The next question, what are the possible side effects, and is there any concern for receiving the vaccine for women and or men of childbearing age? Lisa?
Yes. So the most common side effects are mild, as mentioned before, and they are at the injection site. These include things like soreness, redness, or swelling. Some people might even feel tired or achy or have a fever. These are all normal signs that your body is building protection to the virus. As mentioned before, very rarely the severe allergic reaction called anaphylaxis can occur after any drug or vaccine that's possible. As of last week, over 11 million doses of vaccine have been given, showing us that anaphylaxis and these serious side effects are indeed rare. And there is no known reason for concern about fertility for women or men of childbearing age.
Thanks, Lisa. Our next question is somewhat related to that question, so I'm going to stay with you. The question asks, if I am pregnant or breastfeeding, can I get the vaccine?
Yes, very good question. Pregnant or breastfeeding women were not included in the vaccine trials. However, there were women who inadvertently became pregnant during the trials, and these women have had no serious adverse outcomes. We do know that pregnant women do not do as well when they get the infection, and they are at increased risk for severe illness from COVID-19. With that in mind, pregnant or breastfeeding women may choose to be vaccinated, particularly if they live in an area where there's widespread COVID or if they have a high level of exposure based on their job or their lives.
Okay, our next question, thank you, Lisa. The writer writes, will I be responsible for any costs associated with the vaccine? And Dr. Prosswimmer, I'd ask if you could address that for us.
Sure. The vaccines are provided by the government at no cost to the recipient. An administration fee is charged to the insurance company in compliance with government regulations, but deductibles and co-pays do not apply. So patients are not responsible for the administration fee. And uninsured patients are not charged for the administration fee.
So the next question is related, Jerry, but because it's stated so specifically, I'll ask you to reaffirm your answer. If I do not have insurance, can I get the vaccine?
Yes, you will receive the vaccine free of charge.
Great, thank you. The next writer asks, if I was diagnosed and I'm currently COVID positive, when can I get the vaccine? Lisa, do you want to take a shot at that?
Yes. So if you are diagnosed and are currently COVID positive, you must wait until at least 10 days after your symptoms started, be free of fever for at least 24 hours without the use of fever-reducing medications, and be feeling better. If your immune system is compromised, you should wait at least 20 days. This is so you don't infect others at the vaccine site. Once you are COVID positive, you are very unlikely to get COVID again for 90 days after that infection. So you can choose to be vaccinated and wait for those 90 days to pass. Now, if you were treated for COVID-19 symptoms with monoclonal antibodies or convalescent plasma, you should wait 90 days before getting a COVID-19 vaccine. Talk to your doctor if you're unsure what treatments you received.
Great. I'm going to stay with you, Lisa. Can I pick which vaccine I want to get?
You will not have a choice of which vaccine. Whichever vaccine is available is the one that you should get.
Okay. And again, relatedly, so I'll stay with you. If I was already diagnosed with COVID-19 and recovered, do I still need to get vaccinated when it's available?
Yes, you should absolutely be vaccinated. There have been people who have gotten COVID twice, and we do not yet have a full understanding of why this happens. So you should absolutely be vaccinated when you are eligible.
The next question, Dr. Prosswimmer, I'll ask you to respond to. But the writer asked, who is eligible in the state of New Jersey to get the vaccine now? And before I actually toss that one to you, I'll say that this changes, and it can change in the future. But if you could address who currently is available.
Absolutely. So the state of New Jersey has redefined Group 1A. So Group 1A now includes healthcare workers and first responders, as well as those older than 75 years, and those who are 16 to 64 years who have conditions that increase their risk of serious COVID infection. Examples of those conditions would be heart disease, lung disease, diabetes, and other conditions as well.
Great. And related, who determines who's eligible to get the vaccine?
The New Jersey Department of Health directs vaccine eligibility, and we strictly follow their rules.
Okay, and now another question tightly related here. Why did they skip over phase 1B and go straight to 65 and older?
Prioritizing the population is a difficult thing to do. The government made the decision to accelerate those in the population with the highest risk and move them to phase 1A.
Great. And that's where we stand today.
And that's where we stand today, phase 1A.
Great, thank you. Will I have immunity after my second dose of vaccine? Lisa, you want to take a shot at it?
Yes. The current COVID vaccines are highly effective in preventing COVID following 2 doses. It does take 2 weeks for the full effect of the vaccine to occur after the second dose is given.
Great. Okay, thank you. Are there plans to only provide the first dose of the vaccine to the community? Jerry, somewhat related to some of the comments that you made earlier, so I'll ask you to grab that one.
Yeah. So we are planning to distribute both doses in accordance with recommendations. If the government makes a change to this, we will have to follow what is required. But as of right now, we are planning to distribute both doses.
Okay. The next question asks, what is herd immunity? And after I'm vaccinated, will I still need to wear a mask? So it's kind of 2 questions wrapped into one. Lisa, would you mind taking that for us?
Yes, another great question. Herd immunity means that enough people in a community are protected from getting a disease because they've already had the disease or they've been vaccinated. Herd immunity makes it hard for the disease to spread from person to person, and it even protects those who cannot be vaccinated, like newborns. We don't know yet what percentage of people would need to get vaccinated to achieve herd immunity to COVID-19. So at this point, yes, you must continue to wear a mask, practice social distancing, stay home if you are sick or if you've been exposed to somebody that tests positive for COVID-19, and wash your hands often. There's not one vaccine that is 100% effective, but as Jerry mentioned earlier, 95% effective is pretty great. And because while we know that the vaccine prevents sickness from COVID, we don't know yet if it prevents asymptomatic spreading or spreading from an individual that does not have symptoms.
Great, thank you. The next question is, can you explain Hunterdon Healthcare's vaccine response plan? Dr. Prosswimmer?
Sure. We aim to vaccinate everyone who is eligible and wants a vaccination. Our mission is to care for our community, and we've been planning for vaccine distribution for many weeks. We will have a system for making appointments at large distribution centers at the Hunterdon Medical Center and likely other HHS sites as well. All of this, of course, is contingent upon us receiving vaccine supply.
Okay, I'm going to pull up the next question, which is slightly related, Jerry, so I'm going to ask you to respond to this as well. If I or someone in my family meets the criteria currently open, what should we do now?
Well, we want to vaccinate you as soon as we can. Watch our social media, like our Facebook page and Twitter. Watch our website. We will also alert local news outlets when we have vaccine supply, and we'll use our patient portal to send messages as well. We understand that everyone wants to make an appointment and get a shot right away. Please be patient and know we will vaccinate you as soon as we can.
And I don't think that we can express enough on that one, that we do not control the supply. We literally get notified the day that it's being sent to us. Is that fair, Dr. Prosswimmer?
It is. I wish we had more advance notice, and I wish we could tell everyone when and how much vaccine we're going to get, but we just can't. We don't know.
Okay, thank you. And, Lisa, Jerry, why can't the hospital just use the vaccine you have to open up vaccinations for everyone? Very related. I think we almost answered it in the last question, but Lisa, do you want to take a shot?
Yes, we are required to follow the New Jersey Department of Health government rules for distribution, and we do so strictly.
Yes, and we report, just so everyone knows, daily back to the state with regard to how many were given, et cetera. So the state is really government. Additional questions from the community, and a couple that have come in as we have talked. Will the over 75 group receive the vaccine before the large group just added 65 and over? So I think, Dr. Prosswimmer, you had kind of responded to this broader question. Would you be able to respond to this?
Yes. So according to the New Jersey Department of Health phases, the over 75 group and the 16 to 64 with comorbidity group and the over 65 group are all now grouped together, and one is not prioritized over the other. So they'll all go, they're all in phase 1A right now.
Okay. So a kind of similar question, but I'm most interested in how to get an appointment since I'm over 65 with comorbidities. We're getting conflicting info. I'm in 1C, but now we're being told over 65 has moved up. So I think, Dr. Prosswimmer, to just simplify, that would be great.
So once again, if you're over 65 or if you're between the ages of 16 and 64 and you have comorbidities, you are now in group 1A. So you don't have to worry about being in 1B or 1C. You've now been moved up to 1A. I'll also specifically mention that that lower age limit of 16, if you think back to the very first slide we showed today, it depends which vaccine product is available. One is approved for age 16 and up, which is the Pfizer, and one is approved for age 18 and up, which is the Moderna.
Okay, thank you. The next one is a little specific, Dr. Prosswimmer. I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you can respond to it, it would be great. The patient asks, my daughter and I have genetic long QT type 2. Has there been any research in regards to the safety of the vaccine for those of us with this condition?
So there is no specific data for that condition in particular. The safety data and the studies included a broad array of chronic conditions, and I don't know whether long QT was one of them.
Great, thank you. So we'll continue to follow up on that with the person if any information
If information comes out, but I'm not expecting any additional information that would address that concern in particular.
Okay, thank you. The next patient writes, it's difficult for my husband, who is over 80, to get out. Would this vaccine be available for someone to come and provide in the home, similar to the lab at home service? Lisa, do you want to try it?
Yes. At this time, we are unable to bring the vaccine off-site. There's challenges with transporting the current vaccines due to their sensitivity to things like temperature, vibration. But it is possible if other vaccines come to market, this might be possible.
Great. But with the current two that are out there, it's not possible, and we'll be watching for it for our home health and others.
That is correct.
Great, thank you. Okay. The next one is California is putting a pause on a batch of Moderna vaccine after seeing higher than usual allergic reactions at a San Diego clinic. Can either of you comment on this? This is kind of recently breaking, I think. So Lisa, do you want to?
Yes. So as you mentioned, this is recent. And from the information that we have been able to obtain, this was taken and followed out of an abundance of caution. It was only related to one specific batch and has not been reported for any other batches of vaccine. This is why we have robust reporting systems so that situations like this can be immediately identified and investigated. As I previously mentioned, over 11 million doses of COVID vaccine have been administered in the United States. And again, this has not been reported or associated with any other batches. So we will be continuing to follow and see if we can learn anything else from this.
And we'll post on our website as that becomes available?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, and similar, either of you, Norway has concerns over the safety of the Pfizer vaccine in the elderly with underlying conditions after 29 deaths linked to reactions in the shot. And the source there was Bloomberg, and it's very recent. It's January 16th that that's come out. So very recent. Do either of you have comments on that?
Yes. So again, very recent. The story was published originally on January 16th, but then was updated just 2 days later on January 18th. And it is now being reflected that the health authorities have stated that there was no direct link between the deaths among the elderly people vaccinated against COVID and the vaccine they received. The Norwegian Medicines Agency reported that all of those individuals were already seriously ill.
Okay. Great. So that one is, we wouldn't say disproved, but watch for more, but it certainly shouldn't be taken on its face value.
That is correct.
The next patient writes, does this change the way my immune system reacts to other viruses? Does it alter my immune system in any way? Dr. Prosswimmer?
So no, this vaccine does not change the way your immune system reacts to other viruses or the way it functions in general. Like any vaccine, it is very specific to the disease it aims to prevent.
Great, thank you. The next one, is there anything that stays in my body that could cause cancer 10 years down the road? Either of you want to take a shot?
Sure, I'll take that one. As I mentioned earlier, the messenger RNA contained in the vaccine very rapidly degrades in your body. It does not enter the nucleus of your cell. It does not interact with your own DNA in any way. So there's no expectation that 10 years down the road it would cause cancer.
Thank you. Does it work against the new mutation of the virus?
We believe it does. That's very good news. We were all very concerned when we started to hear about the new mutations that have a higher degree of contagiousness. But what we are hearing from the experts is good news, that we do believe that the vaccine will work against the new mutations.
Great, thank you. That is good news. If several of my family or friends are vaccinated, can I safely get together with them? Lisa?
Yes. So again, as I started, that day is coming. But right now, even once you're vaccinated, you must still continue to practice social distancing. You must still wear a mask, wash your hands. If you're sick, you need to stay home. If you've had exposure to somebody that tested positive to COVID, you need to stay home. We know the vaccine prevents sickness from COVID, but we don't know if it prevents spreading among people that do not have symptoms.
Great. Okay, thank you. So just kind of continue, even though we're vaccinated, with the same behaviors that we have, and hopefully we'll get to that day sooner than later, where we can all just go back to somewhat more of a normal life. Okay. If you had neurological side effects from a previous vaccine, is it safe to receive either Pfizer or Moderna vaccine?
I'll take that one. The only contraindication to receiving either the Moderna or the Pfizer COVID vaccine is an anaphylaxis to the vaccine or any of its ingredients.
Great.
So it is considered safe and recommended to receive the vaccine unless you fit into that contraindication category.
Excellent. And the next question is, I am scheduled to receive my vaccine this week, but just came down with shingles and began antiviral medication. How long do I need to wait until it would be safe to receive the vaccine?
So while this specific circumstance is not included in the guidance, my answer to that would be, A, you should be free of fever for at least 24 hours. B, you should be feeling better and not be contagious to others, because we don't want you to come into the vaccination site and spread illness to other people. And it is probably a good idea to wait until you finish your antiviral medication. The antiviral medications that are used for shingles don't have any effectiveness against COVID vaccine, but still, your immune system will be in a better position to respond well to the vaccine when you are recovering or recovered.
Okay, and I guess we would also recommend, Dr. Prosswimmer, that this writer would consult with their physician and potentially an infectious disease physician, but let the physician make the determination.
Yeah, reaching out to the physician is a good idea whenever you have a question.
Good. Okay. How are health facilities handling refrigeration of Pfizer? Meaning, if refrigeration is off, could efficacy be compromised?
I'll take that one. So, in anticipation of the release of the Pfizer vaccine, Hunterdon Medical Center purchased 2 brand new ultra-cold freezers. So these freezers were installed in December, so we were absolutely ready to receive vaccine as soon as it could be shipped to us. They have very, very sophisticated temperature monitoring devices, and of course are on backup power, so we can be entirely confident that the integrity of the vaccine remains excellent throughout the time it's here at Hunterdon.
Great, thank you. The next question, when do you expect to have vaccine? I'm eligible, but can't find anyone who has it available. So I can do this one.
Okay.
We just don't know the answer there. We literally get told by the state that they're issuing us X number on that day. So again, the best advice that we can give you there is stay close to the Hunterdon Healthcare webpage. We would ask that you not continually call the practices. Folks with actual illness are having difficulty getting through to the practices on occasion because so many people are calling. We promise that we will update immediately our website with any information as to available vaccines.
And social media as well, right?
And social media, that's correct, yes. Okay. The next question is, do we know if this vaccine will work with the new mutated versions, and can people with autoimmune issues get the vaccine. So I think the new part here is, what about folks with autoimmune deficiencies?
So the recommendation is for people who have autoimmune conditions to be vaccinated. They were included in the studies, and they are certainly at risk if they get COVID disease.
Great. Okay. The next questioner asks, did you misspeak when you said 1A is over 75? Did you now mean it's now over 65? So I think this is just a classification.
So a clarification, 1A is everyone over 65 and everyone between age 16 and 64 that has a chronic condition. And the chronic conditions are specified by the CDC and by the New Jersey Department of Health. When I said 75 and up, I wanted to be clear that phase 1B was originally 75 and up, and phase 1C was originally 65 and up, and those groups are all now included in 1A. So again, 1A is 65 and up, or 16 to 64 with certain health conditions.
Great, thank you for that clarification. The next writer asks, my mom is on the list at Hunterdon Family Practice. My mom is 84. Why are we not being contacted for appointments?
The answer to that is you're not being contacted for an appointment because we don't have the product to give you yet. Once we have the product and we make the announcement, then you'll be eligible to make an appointment.
Great, thank you. I think we answered this one before, but if vaccinated people are together only, can they be unmasked?
At this point, the answer is no. Even if you have received the vaccine, you still have to practice social distancing. You still have to wear a mask. You still have to make sure that you're frequently washing your hands. Again, this is because the vaccine is not 100%. It is above 94% effective. But at this point, even if you're vaccinated, you still have to follow all of the rules that we've been following at this time.
Next question is, there are going to be special considerations to adding college students who reside in dorms in Group 1B. I mean, I think the answer to that is we just don't know. We literally, none of the healthcare institutions knew when it turned to 65. We all woke up that morning and found out. So we just don't know where there will be variation in the classifications at this time. Again, it's all state governed. And the state's been doing a great job with us, but we just don't preside over these decisions. The state does. Anything to add, Lisa or Jerry?
That's no? Right.
Good. Are you vaccinating only residents of Hunterdon County, or can family members from other counties or states come here to get vaccinated when available? Jerry?
I'll take that one. So right now, we are vaccinating in accordance with the recommendation. Persons who live, work, go to school, or receive medical care in one of the 4 counties where we provide health care to the residents. So that would be Hunterdon, of course, Somerset, Mercer, and Warren. So again, I'll say it again. If you live,
work.
If you work in, if you go to school in, or you receive medical care in one of our 4 counties in our Hunterdon Healthcare service area.
Great, thank you. The next question is there any reason to be concerned if I have an allergy to egg and or milk?
The answer to that is no reason whatsoever. There's no egg or milk involved in the production of these vaccines.
I've read that younger patients, 1 in 5, have severe reaction to Moderna. Can you address why?
So younger persons typically respond more robustly to vaccination than older persons, simply because their immune systems are more robust and, quite frankly, younger. So the probability that an older person will have a reaction is less than the probability that a younger person will have a reaction. Having said that, once again, serious reactions are extremely rare. As Lisa mentioned earlier, 0.5% of people have a serious allergic reaction. Minor reactions like soreness at the injection site or redness at the injection site are common, but they're minor. They're a way of knowing that the vaccine is working in your body. They go away on their own, and they're not a cause for concern.
Great, thank you. Could one of you comment on the health consent form that must be completed and brought with you before you get the vaccine?
So we're not using a health consent form. I'm not sure what they're referring to. Here at Hunterdon, we have created, based on all the NJDOH and CDC guidance, as well as what comes from the FDA, we created a checklist, and you complete the checklist when you register for the vaccine. And it helps us to make sure that you don't have a contraindication and that you fully understand all of the criteria associated with vaccination.
The next question, do smokers have some priority or the same priority as those that are 65 and over for the vaccine?
I'll take that one as well. So again, the New Jersey Department of Health determines who is included in each of the phases, and there's no sub-prioritization within a phase, so smokers are indeed included in phase 1A.
Great, thank you. The next questioner actually asked a very specific question. Are there Epipens at all locations? Do you see concerns getting vaccinated at a clinic or through a drive-through clinic?
So the answer to the question is yes. We have Epipens and emergency medication kits at all of our vaccination sites here at Hunterdon Healthcare. And we are not currently doing a drive-through program, but the Public Health Department does do a drive-through program. And while I can't confirm it with certainty, I can't imagine that they're not prepared for an emergency as well.
Yeah. Good. Okay. And I think, I believe that in 2 weeks, our second Medical Mondays will focus on walking folks through a clinic, just to kind of show them how it works, how it flows, et cetera. So that will maybe take some of the mystery out of it for folks. So
sure.
Again, tune in 2 weeks. What is the most effective way to register to get in line for the vaccine?
So once we have vaccine supply, we will open up the opportunity to make an appointment. We're working on a number of different ways to make that even easier for folks to do. Previously, the only way you could register was to call a phone number and try to get through the line. But we're trying to find a way to make it even easier for folks, so stay tuned. And once we get that firmed up, we will be explaining it and posting it and making you aware of it.
Okay. And the next question is, I have Graves' disease and hypothyroidism. Am I eligible for vaccine now? Who do I contact?
So if you're over age 65, yes, you're eligible. If you're under age 65, you are not yet eligible based on Graves' disease.
And what is the point of registering if no one is going to call you to schedule an appointment? It sounds as if you have to keep checking yourself to see if there is a vaccine available.
That's a really common question, and I'm glad someone asked it. So the state of New Jersey created a pre-registration program, and this is confused to some people. When you pre-register with the state of New Jersey, you go on their COVID-19 website and you put in your information. What you attain is that when your group, your phase is announced, you will get an email letting you know that you're now in the eligible phase. And I'm told that they will also include information about where in the state you might be able to get vaccinated. So the caller is right that it is different from scheduling an actual appointment, and that vigilance for when the supply arrives is in fact necessary. And we try to make that as easy as we can for you. using social media, using our website, using our patient portal, and using local news outlets as well.
Great, and I think we have one more question coming in here. Okay, do we need to register with our primary care doctor who is part of Hunterdon Healthcare to get the vaccine? Can we do this if we are not in phase 1A? So I think maybe a reiteration, Dr. Prosswimmer?
Sure, so you do not need to register with your primary care doctor to get the vaccine. In fact, you don't have to have a primary care doctor to get the vaccine. And there's no way to pre-register to get an appointment for the vaccine before your priority group is called by the state. And again, I must reiterate, we're in group phase 1A, healthcare workers, first responders, those age 65 and up, those age 16 to 64 with qualifying health conditions. And all of our ability to provide you with the vaccine, which is what we absolutely aim and want to do as soon as we possibly can, all of that is contingent on us receiving vaccine supply.
Great. And related, are there currently any vaccines available?
So there are no vaccines available that haven't already been spoken for, so to speak, that don't already have an appointment. But we are very hopeful that we will get more vaccine. We expect we'll get little amounts here and there, and we'll be opening up appointments that will correlate to that number of doses as they arrive.
Great. And two questions on the same issue. When are teachers going to be eligible?
The teachers are in phase 1B, and we simply don't know when phase 1B will be announced. Once it's announced, we'll be ready, willing, and able to vaccinate as soon as the supply arrives.
Great. And again, we just need to, I know it's frustrating and everyone wants the vaccine. We are literally ready to go. The health system has hundreds of staff ready to go. We have sites ready to roll. We would be thrilled if the vaccine started to roll. It just is not moving at the moment. So the moment we get it, scheduled, and very large clinics coming to action. And one last question here quickly, and it touches on something that Lisa spoke about earlier. Can you get a vaccine if you're breastfeeding? Could you reiterate that, Lisa?
Yes, at this time, you can consider getting vaccinated with the COVID vaccine, especially if you are at a higher risk of, with your job, if you're at a higher risk of coming into contact and being exposed with COVID, you should get vaccinated.
Great, thank you. And folks are taking them off. Are we done with the questions? One more is coming in, okay? Okay, bear with us here. I would say that please, if you watch the website and the ways that you found out about this, we have the next Medical Monday planned for 2 weeks from today. But if the demand is there, we would consider moving it forward to next Monday. Again, we know what we're going to do in that. We're going to actually walk you through a clinic and what to expect. Last two questions here. Are there any opportunities for jobs at these sites? And the answer is yes. We have posted. If you go to the hunterdonhealthcare.org website, you will be able to see these posted. We've been very successful, but we still have a need. As I said, the scale that the health system is prepared to go to requires many folks to help us with that. The next question, I'm not sure, I may need our folks who are taking them off the system. It says, which vaccine did we get or will we offer? I understand it now. Okay. We received both Pfizer's and Moderna. Dr. Prosswimmer, do you want to go any further than that? That's what we've received so far. I don't think we have any way of knowing what we would receive in the future. Any ideas there?
You're correct. We are fortunately able to receive either. Because we had the foresight to purchase the ultra-cold freezers, we have the ability to receive, store, and distribute either vaccine. And we have made it very clear we will take anything we can get.
Yeah, we are on every state list, open wide for vaccines. They have commented at the state of what a great job Hunterdon has done. When we receive vaccine, we have it in arms very quickly. So again, if you can bear with us and know that we are doing everything possible at the health system and rely on the state who's doing a great job, and we're working closely with them. But if you can watch our social media, we will be pushing messages out through the multiple ways that you found out about today's program. And again, please watch. I think that the next will be important, and potentially based on the interest today, maybe we'll move that forward a week with regard to vaccines. So please watch for more information on that. Thank you all for joining us, and bear with it. We are going to get through this. We definitely see a brighter horizon for all of us. Thank you all.